Hi guys, welcome back to the dive where we talk about different topics, different issues, different experiences that the youth goes through. We talk about everything over here. We talk about relationships, sex, finance, education, academics, growth, what have you, abuse, pornography, everything. We talk about everything over here. And today we are on the topic of pornography. We are going to be diving deep into the topic of pornography. And to do that, we have a very special guest with us, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
Hello guys, my name is PSC Morgan. Um,
Okay, so yes, everyone, this is Morgan, and he's going to help us. And basically, this podcast is a podcast where we learn. So everything we do here, the reason behind this is to help, is to teach, is to learn. Okay, so today we are going to talk about pornography and we're going to talk about his experience. And the point of sharing this experience is to help, is to learn. So it's not like, hey, we are here to pornography. No, 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 no. We are here to learn. So I'm going to just give you the floor. Tell us about your experience, tell us your story. Take it away.
okay, so it all started when I was in GHS 2. In GHS 2, moving to GHS 3. That was when it all started. So I had these friends. They were a bit older than me. So back then they were in, I think, SHS. And one was even down with SHS. So they were older than me. I loved to hang out with grown-ups when I was very young. I don't know why. Because I had elderly brothers growing up. So I always saw myself as someone who was grown.
Yeah.
That was older than my mates and all this stuff. So yeah.
Big
So
boys. We're chilling
yeah.
with the big boys.
So I had those friends. So I used to visit them, sometimes even spend a night there. So I think it was GHS 2, GHS 3. When one day I went there, one of them was watching porn. I didn't know it was porn. That was the first time I knew there was something like that. I knew there was something called sex, but I hadn't seen it before. I just hear of it, but I didn't know there was something like sex where there will be people will be there will video some people. I mean, I didn't know about that. So I just heard the sound. And I don't know, as humans, the way we are wired, when you hear that sound, it just triggers
Curiosity.
you just know that it's something different out of the ordinary. So I didn't know it was I just knew at that point that was something I wasn't used to. Or I mean it was a bit different from what I knew already. So that was it. That was the first time. Okay, so I ignored it, and then the other time I went there again. This same guy was just watching me. Back then I think it was 2013. Yeah, 2013, 2014. So, I mean, the internet wasn't that popular in Ghana. I think that was the time WhatsApp was emerging, so things weren't that popular. So I didn't know that we had pornography on the internet. I didn't know. So this guy just he takes it from somewhere on the phone and he was watching it. So one day I went there, he went out, and I also took the phone. I started going through. So that was the first time I saw a naked woman. So that day, I don't know if that's how we are wired as humans, but then the moment I saw it, I just felt something different. I knew that no, this is not.
Ebu Baba.
So yeah, that was it, and I watched it. So when I heard that he was coming, I just put that quickly. He came in, saw that I watched it, and he bore, like he really bore. Like, why would you take my those things? And I was like, okay. So when I saw the way he was angry, I knew that it was something. Maybe he's preventing me from seeing. So anytime I went around him, in fact, I go around and he's not there, I just take the phone. So that was, I think, during that time I completed GHS and I went to SHS. When I went to SHS, I didn't know about porn on the web. I didn't know about that. So that was one of my friends. We were talking about those things, when you're in SHS, the curiosity, talking about sex, ladies, those things. And the guy was like, oh, they watch porn, they watch porn. I was like, hey, Charlie, so why? I be he did your phone to watch. You don't know, you don't know. Just type this. And then I started using mobile phone. I think I started using mobile phone in GHS 2. But I wasn't the one that you can use it to visit the internet. It was just those normal phones. So SHS, that was when I had an Android phone. So I just went home and I was like, okay, me too, I will try. So I just went there, just went to Google, typed in like
Overflow.
thousands of videos. I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. So I just went there and then I started watching. So that was it. So it got to a point, Just anytime I take my phone, I know where I'm going, just straight away. So it was like saved my bookmark. So the moment I type this, I mean, it starts showing. I was like, okay. So that was it. I kept on
Mm,
watching it, and that was how everything started.
okay. So, I mean, would you once okay, let me just go ahead with my questions because I wanted to know if you would want to like give your full story or we should do it bit by bit.
Okay, maybe bit by bit
Okay.
will help. Yeah.
All right. So looking back, what would you say was the you said you saw it was a guy like it was do you think that you were already do you think he was the first person to introduce it to you or you already had an idea about what would you say was your cause the cause of like that addiction or something
Oh, I that was the first time that
that was the first
I got exposed to that. And
mm.
the first time was, as I said, it was just the sound.
So you were able
So
to just brush it aside or it was something that you were like I want to find out
yeah, the
more
sound was different. It wasn't
mm.
the normal sound I used to know. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, I have to find out.
You have to find out more.
Yeah. So I went back and as I said, I took the phone. I also went through myself. So that was it.
Okay. So what would you say were your enablers? Because what would you say like kept kept you going back or kept the fire burning, like enabled that thing? Because if in a normal circumstance you just go and type and you go your way. But what turned it into an addiction? Like you get me? What were your
Okay.
enablers?
Okay, so before I answer this question, there are some stages that humans go through if you want to like build a habit.
Mm.
Okay, so
Okay.
in building any habits, there are four stages that you go through. The first one is called cue. The second one is called craving. The third one is the response, and the last one is the
The
reward.
first one is what?
Cue, CUE,
CUE.
the cue.
Okay.
So I'll get to that later. So the first
Okay.
one is like the cue is like the information about that action.
Mm.
I mean the information about the reward you get doing that action or performing the action. That's the cue.
Okay.
And the second one is the craving, like the motivation for you to actually do that action and perform that action.
Mm.
That's the craving. And the third one, which is the real action. Okay. And the last one is the reward.
Reward.
What you get from what you get after doing and
Engaging.
performing the action. So as we all know, I mean porn or anything sexual is pleasurable to the human.
Mm.
So I mean what kept me going was one, like the environment, there are some I have these friends that when we meet, we know
This
we
is
talk
what
about
yeah.
sexual stuff. So I mean, something like this. You meet, you go to bed, you are going to do something like this. Sometimes you go to a point where just hearing any sexual sound or I mean trigger some
Mm.
kind of action I have to just when I go I should watch this. I mean, it got to a point seeing certain nude pictures around. We are in the dispensation where nude pictures are like almost everywhere.
Mm.
So there were a lot. The enablers were a lot, not
Really?
just the environment, sound.
So how so like when you say there were lots, was it nice that there were lots or it was worrying you that there were lots? Because I mean walking and it's like like is it like oh yes everywhere I turn it was like oh everywhere I turn like what was it?
Oh, it was like oh everywhere. I was born in a Christian home. My
Mm,
dad is a pastor,
mm,
so I was raised like in the church,
mm,
and I was taught about a lot of things, good and bad, at an early stage.
mm.
So the kind of training we had at home was like the tough one, like the military training. So I mean, you can't misbehave in our house. You can't.
Mm,
You just can't. So, I mean, anytime I mean, after watching it, I just know that I've done something very bad and I
mm,
instantly regret. But then, as I said, the craving, like, anytime I hear the sound, I just feel like, okay, though I feel bad, but then the reward too is there. Like, anytime after watching it, I feel
yeah.
some way. So I wasn't okay with it. I knew that wasn't good. It's not like I didn't know. I wasn't naive. I knew this is not good for me.
Mm,
This is not what I should be doing.
mm,
But then I just couldn't help that. I just kept on coming back. Sometimes I could stop for like a month, and then you'll be there and you just bump into something unusual or something related to porn or
mm.
sex and it
So
comes back
from
again.
what you're saying, like it seems like your house was like the typical Holiko Mama Jesus
Of
house.
course.
So going through something like this, I mean, hiding it alone, like the work or the anxiety, like somebody is coming, then you like, I mean, how was that whole season like? Because I'm sure there's someone out there who might be going through the exact similar thing, and the person is like always anxious, like it's who is watching, who is coming, that kind of thing. How was that whole process like?
Okay, so back in the house, I think I had my room. I think after when I go to SHS, I had my own room.
Mm,
So after SHS, when I come home, I know I should be careful because my mom can bump me to anytime. And my mom was the firewoman. Like
ish, come
she
on.
was like no nonsense woman. Like she was very cool, but then
Mm,
you see you doing things like that, I mean, you're in trouble. So, I mean, it was very hard trying to have it. And most of the times, I wasn't watching it at home because I
mm,
respected our house. Like, I always had it at the back of my mind that this place there now, I'm not for full year, So,
mm,
it was mostly when I was in school or I was out with my friends or
mm,
maybe I was visiting a friend or somewhere else. It was mostly when I was in school. That was
mm,
it. But then after I think after I got to the uni, it became when I even when I'm in the house and because that time I could stay up late, 12 a.m. The
mm.
hour sleep and I could do whatever I want to do. So that
So,
was it.
so from what I'm understanding, right, it's like you were doing the thing. It's like you knew like you didn't want to do it, but you were still doing it. It's like the only reason why you don't even want to do it is because of your parents, like the dynamic was
Yeah.
some way. So, at what point did you resolve within yourself that nah, I want to stop. I want to stop for myself, not for my parents or anything. Like at what point? Because it seems your life was cool. You were doing the thing, it was in secret, nobody knew. When you go out past the sun, nobody knows what you're doing in your bedroom. So why would you even want to stop in the first place? So at what point made you go like, Charlie, nah, let me find a way to stop this thing?
Okay. So I think it was when I got to the uni,
Mm.
was still there. I was in Katanga. So
Yeah.
first year in my room,
Mm.
my roommates, and they were not all that religious. So you
Mm.
can imagine.
Asemaba.
It's not like they were watching porn. I didn't
Mm.
know if they watched. I'm sure they watched, but then it wasn't known to.
Mm.
It wasn't known to us. So it was just in secret. So I was watching it back then, and then anytime I watch it, I could stay out for like 4 hours, like straight 4 hours, watching this thing for four
Mm.
hours. And I wake up the next day, I feel very tired.
Mm.
Like I just sometimes I feel like not going to class. I was in first year too, so I was like, no, child, this thing is not good for me. But I couldn't stop it. So the whole first year I was in it, I was doing this. When I got to level 200, I decided to put an end to everything because, as I said, I wasn't feeling okay. Like I felt very tired anytime I watched it like the whole night. Sometimes I watched 4 hours, 3 hours, and again, it wasn't cost effective too because you're
Mm.
buying data. It wasn't free, so
Well, I know that you are with a data company there.
oh no, so it wasn't cost effective too. So
Mm.
I was like, I had to put an end to it.
Mm.
So I am that guy who doesn't talk to people.
Mm.
I'm very secretive. So I had a lot of things. So most of the time I go through a lot of things. I just keep it to myself and I find a way to solve it. So I didn't tell anyone. No one around me knew.
Mm.
But then if you watch me afar, you could see something was wrong with me. But then
Mm.
you wouldn't know what was wrong with me. So no one knew. I just kept it to myself. There was this one friend I could talk to. I just told him, Charlie, this boy they go on. He said, oh, Mr. Me, now they watch. So and funny enough, he's a Muslim.
Mm.
So he was like, Charlie, he didn't watch, but he too strong.
Mm.
So that was when I was like, okay. So if there are things that trigger this kind of habit or that trigger me to watch this, why don't I do away with some of these things? Why don't I eliminate these things from my life? So if it's watching, if let's say I visit Instagram, I see pictures of some ladies somewhere and it will trigger me to go watch it. Why don't I unfollow all these ladies?
Mm.
If it's let's say the setting, I had to change certain things. So that was it. It was basically second year. That was when I told
Okay, that's
myself
when you
that
told yourself that nah.
I
So
had to stop.
basically, it's like the feeling, the aftermath feel like after the reward. So I think the first step you should add a fifth one. So like the feeling just made you feel like I want to stop. Like you
Yeah.
are just searching for ways to stop. So I want to ask you how when you decided that you wanted to stop, how was the process like in trying to stop? Like How was it easy? Was it, what were the bumps in the road? Did you get people to talk to about it? Like, how was that journey? Like, I mean, when you don't want to stop there, the journey is nice. But
Yeah.
when you decide that you wanted to stop, how did the journey look like for you?
So as I was saying, it wasn't easy. I mean, it's been
And what
like
did you do? Like, what are the
okay.
steps for someone also? Like, yeah. So, how was the journey like?
So it's like something that's been with you since you were in like GHS 3.
Mm,
So it's like 4, 5, 6 years, and all of a sudden you want to quit. I mean, it's been like it was very difficult.
mm,
So what I did is as I was saying, I ignored and I eliminated certain things from my life. So there were people that I was following. It got to a time I wasn't even active on Instagram.
mm.
I'm not saying it worked for everyone, but then
Yeah,
to
for
me, it worked in
you.
a way. I wasn't
Yeah.
active on Instagram. I just went
Mm,
off, and then I installed certain site blockers on my phone,
come
my
on.
laptop. Like, I'm a tech guy, so I
Yeah.
knew about most of these site blockers, and so I
Mm,
installed some of these apps on my phone and my
mm,
laptop. So I tried,
mm,
but then you can stop for like 5 months. You'll be there, no, some of these days you feel like Charlie, nah, today I can't help it. And by the time you realize you've watched it.
mm,
So it wasn't like just a one stop. I decided to stop today and that was it. No. But I could stop for like some months and I'll get back to it. But then it wasn't as bad as it was.
kept
After
getting
just
better.
after that, I mean, I would just regret it. And I can stop for like some months. So I mean, it was a gradual process. It wasn't just a one time thing. It
Mm.
took some time.
I like what you said about the side work. It's like you were intentional. It's like you wanted something and you were intentional about the steps that you were taking to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important point. But one thing I want you to tell us about, did you get people to openly talk about this to, like, Charlie, I'm struggling with this thing, or you get some tips, or like, did you get people able, because I mean, under normal circumstances our parents are the people that we should be able to tell these things to, but it's the case where you to your parents were, so I mean, well, how did you navigate with that, or you just kept everything to yourself till the end?
So as I was saying, as I said, I'm a very secretive person.
Mm,
So I didn't tell anyone. I was
mm-hmm.
just that my friend.
Okay.
And no, it was like boys. So he the bar, but I was just some
Mm,
normal. So I didn't tell anyone because one, I was afraid of being judged because I
mm,
was very active in the church growing up.
mm.
So tell you bad and you the watch porn. So that kind of feeling, like,
Yeah.
who you? No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. And then I couldn't talk to my mom and dad. Of course, you can't
Mm,
because them the way they you just can't. I don't know if they were going to judge me or not, but because of the way I was raised, I didn't think I could talk to them. And then in the church, I couldn't talk to anyone in the church because I was afraid that if I tell them, they're going to tell my dad or my
mm.
mom. So the thing is, I didn't talk to anyone. It was just me and trying to read some scriptures, watch like sermons. Those were the things I
About
was
it.
doing
Are
about.
there someone's about it?
Like, I mean, certain things that you do to break from addictions. Like,
Okay.
I
Okay.
was, by that time, I was watching a lot of sermons from
Mm,
great pastors. So those were the things I was doing. I mean, exploring the physical means, as in the artificial means to stop this habit, and also the
mm.
spiritual
Spiritual
means.
means
That
to
was how.
stop. Okay. So, I mean, from what you said, for someone who, like you said, you couldn't talk because of your circumstance, you couldn't, because of your environment and everything, you really couldn't talk to anybody about it. But looking back, do you think it's helped or it rather prolonged the journey,
I didn't
not
help.
having anybody to talk to?
I wish I had the courage to talk to someone
Mm,
because I think if you talk to some people who you trust and you know that, I mean, you're going to keep it like a secret and try
mm,
to find ways to help you, I think would have made my journey a bit shorter than it took. Because you know that any time that I mean they don't hear from you, or like if they feel like something, I mean, this is like a big wave. It's been long since we heard from, let's say, Morgan. You know, like, let's check up on this guy. Yo,
yeah.
Morgan, there's this program here, Charlie. You go, oh, there's this church program here. Like, those kind of things will
Yeah.
keep you active. And you have people who are always like checking up on you, talking to you. But in
Mm,
my case, I didn't have. So if I fight it myself and it gets to a level that I can't fight it again, I get defeated and then
mm.
get back to it. So I think if you have people around, it'll be like you are fighting it. And if you get tired, you get to a point you can't fight it anymore, they step
They'll
in.
step in for you.
So I mean, it was very hard for you to go back if you
Mm.
have people around. So I think yeah. And it was mostly the times that I was alone. There's no you won't watch it when you are with people. And
Mm.
it's mostly alone. So you have people around and you're always with your friends, your church friends. This I mean, it will limit your exposure to some of these things. So
Mm. So it's still you're still like talking about intentionality, like intentionally put yourself in situations where, or don't put yourself in situations where like it
good.
will get to you, right?
So like keeping yourself busy.
Mm.
I mean, and also eliminating the things that will trigger you to go back into watching some of these videos. Yeah.
So at what point did you get and be like, Charlie, this one day I can't come? Like at what point did you know that oh this thing is not really like serious for me again, like it was at first?
Okay. So it hasn't been that long though. I'm not going to
Mm.
lie. I think I was 40 year,
Mm.
40 year, second semester.
Mm.
So these guys were talking about, this sister, we were just talking. So I was just passing by when I got there. That my Muslim friend. He was just laughing those things. And for the first time, I went back to my room alone, and then I didn't do anything.
Mm.
No one was around. No, my roommate wasn't around. I was just there alone. I didn't do anything. And that time too, I had a new laptop, so I didn't have the ad blocker and those
And those things on
site
it.
blockers. So I didn't watch it.
Mm.
And then there was sometimes I was watching this YouTube video and these
Ah.
ladies. So I
Mm.
just and that much I was alone and I didn't watch it. And since then, there were times that I wasn't like intentionally expose myself to some of these things, but then unintentionally or sometimes from plans you get exposed to some of these things, but I don't watch it. I was like, okay, it was this point I felt like, okay, yes, I can say that now I'm totally healed.
Okay.
So yeah.
So to like not everyone will relate to how you are feeling, right? But then there will be some people who like will relate. I mean, there will be some people that will be like, ah, but this guy, what is he talking about? Porn is normal. Then
Yeah.
there will be some people that will also be like, ah, why are you trying to stop? Like, do you understand? There will be some people who
Mm-hmm.
also be like, oh, I also want to stop. Like, do you understand? So, what advice would you give to every category of person?
Okay, so for the people who will be asking, how would you like to stop? Because it feels so good. So how do you want to stop? You got to a point where I have to say this. I don't want to say this, but I have to. So it got to a point I just saw ladies around. I was like, what are? Because like I've been seeing
Mm,
stuff. Just a click of my phone, I see like
mm,
variety of ladies. So why would I even? So relationship and those things it wasn't really my thing. Because
mm.
why would I even
Waste time on.
waste time, go on
Yeah.
a date, baby, how you doing? Good morning. No, it was too much of stress. I wasn't ready for it. The drama, I was
Mm,
like, okay, you know what? I'll stick with my phone. And my phone will do
mm,
other things for me.
yeah.
So it was like I didn't give chance for certain kind of relationship, especially
Mm,
boy girl relationship. I just didn't give try because I was like, okay, what do I
mm,
even need it for?
mm,
Because if I want some people to talk to, I have friends that I can talk to. And if it's pleasure, oh, my phone is there. So what after I won't spend much money too. No, let's go on a date. No vows day gift and those things, Charlie.
you really did your economics before
So
you.
yeah, so that was it. But then I just saw that I and my confidence was just going down.
Mm,
So we got to a point I felt very shy going like getting into a group of people. I
mm,
was very confident, like, oh, I could do a lot of things back in SHS, but I go here, I was like, is it me? I said, no, nah. My human relationship
dwindling.
was just dwindling. It
Yeah.
wasn't the way it used to be. I was like, okay, I had to reclaim my confidence. So there are a lot of things. So for the first person, you can't deny the fact that there are some aspect of your life that will be affected. It
Mm,
won't be like 100%. So if you cherish that aspect of your life, I think it would be advisable you just give up on this
for that.
for that aspect of your life. So, and for the person who wants to, let's say, give up or wants to stop, of course you have to stop because
Mm,
you know it's not good for you. After the immediately you finish watching it, you don't feel okay.
mm,
Deep inside you, you just feel like okay, this is not good for me. Sometimes you
Yeah.
feel very bad, you feel embarrassed. Just look at yourself. Like back in those days, I just right after watching it, I'm just feel like, okay, yes, just go into the mirror, watch my face. I was like, oh, Charlie, this thing not
Mm.
good for you. But then, so you know deep inside, you know it's not good for you. So
Just
just give it up.
yeah, I get you. So in your we'll be ending soon, but in your story, right? You were saying that for you, you prefer to solve it yourself or keep to yourself because first of all, your parents were Sheshe Christians, your church saw you in a certain way, like Charlie, who in Kwan can I tell that the thing won't come back to bite me, right? So what advice would you give to those people that are supposed to be receptive of us when these situations come about, like parents? What advice would you give to parents? Would you give to churches? Would you give to organizations? You know, when these things come that are like in quotes stigmas, what advice would you give them?
So for parents, I think it all starts at the younger age. I mean, you have to be close to your kids.
Mm.
And then when getting close to your kids, shouldn't be always about just the scripture alone or the Bible. I mean, Bible is like we are religious people, we are Christians,
Mm.
and then it's very essential that we teach our kids the Bible and our beliefs and that stuff. But then you're not competing with only your beliefs. There are other factors in this world, and we don't have only Christians in this world. We have other people,
Yeah.
and if you don't teach your kids about the other things and other people, those other things or the other people will influence your kids.
We'll teach them the
So
way they want to teach them.
very good. So
Yeah.
I think in my case, my parents didn't teach me about the other side of life aside Christianity.
Mm.
So that was my case. So for parents, I mean, talk to your kids.
Open up, touch every topic. Don't make topics some taboos. You get me?
Once
Yeah.
in a while, just ask them some, I mean, unusual question. Charlie, what they going like? Something that you've not been talking about. Like, hey, Charlie, what it was up?
Mm.
And then maybe it will just build some trust between you and your
Mm.
kids. Like, okay, maybe I can talk to my dad about this. He won't get mad. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
so
think
that's
what
what
I'm
parents
getting
are.
from what you're saying is that if you don't teach your kids, someone else will teach your
Of
kids, and
course.
they'll teach them how they want to teach, and not how you would have preferred for them to be taught about it. Right?
Yeah, in this era of
Yeah.
social media,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff, YouTubers,
Mm.
we have weird YouTubers there, I mean, crazy social media influencers, and all.
Yeah.
They will teach your kids, and I tell you, you won't like it. My TikTok wasn't there, my time TikTok wasn't there, Snapchat wasn't popular,
Mm.
WhatsApp and those things wasn't even popular. Look at how I struggled. So
Mm.
imagine this day that we have TikTok, Snapchat,
Yeah.
WhatsApp is there, Instagram is there, Twitter.
Mm.
You just have to talk to your kids. I mean, that's the best way.
Okay. So what about the other someone who maybe might not be living with their parent? That's like a very good advice for parents. But what about other like organizations, the churches and friends, those people? What would you advise them concerning like these topics?
Okay, so I think the church has a lot of things to, let's say, cover in one Sunday. So
Mm.
there are a lot of things that we can't talk about in just one Sunday or on Sundays. So that's why we have various departments, the youth,
Mm.
that we have various departments. So I think as the youth, maybe once in a while, you have your man of God come to talk. We should touch on some of these topics. It
Mm.
shouldn't be strictly scriptures. No, we might know all the scripture. I think when I was younger, I used to do some of these Bible quizzes and other stuff. So I used to memorize a lot of scriptures. So I knew the scripture, but I know that this thing I'm doing is not good, but I'm still doing it.
Mm.
So sometimes it's not only the scripture, it's like you tell them the other side of life, just let them
Yeah.
know the temptations out there, and some of the things, some of the preventive measures, some of the things they can do to prevent themselves from some of
Okay.
these temptations. So as you are, I mean, teaching them the spiritual aspect of their life, you also teach them the physical
Yes.
aspect of their life. Because we have spiritual and we have the physical. And then nowadays the physical is even stronger. With this emergence of the technologies, the
Mm.
social media. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very hard. So we just have to balance it, let them know that we have other aspects of life aside our spiritual life. So yeah,
Beautiful. Okay, so we are practically ending. Before we go, I want to give like final words of advice to anyone who is struggling with pornography. Anyone out there, just any words, anything that comes to mind.
okay. So yeah, you listen to me. I know you're listening to me. I know right now you're feeling very bad. I know everything that I'm saying you can relate to it. Listen, it's not a good thing. I mean, you know it's not a good thing. You know it's not good for you. Deep inside, you know it, and you can't stop. I know right after that you feel embarrassed. You feel like, okay, I shouldn't have done this. You blame yourself. A whole lot of other things. You can't stop. It's possible. So you can, I mean, follow some of the things that I said, I mean, some of the measures that I followed, I mean, in trying to quit mine. And then maybe I think on this podcast, more of this advice and preventive measures will come. So, I mean, you can stop and you have to stop it because there are a lot of things that you're sacrificing for this kind of habit. And trust me, yeah, it's not worth it. So you just have to give it up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Before we leave, Morgan has prepared a spoken word for us, so we'll just use that to exit. So you have the table.
Okay, so I wrote this piece when I was struggling with my addiction. So one of the ways that I escaped from this addiction was writing. I used to write a lot. So I wrote this when I was struggling with my addiction. So I think I have to. It's wise that I share it with all of you today. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Um, I remember living in the world wasn't easy because the only way I felt was regret, disappointed and heartbroken. But trust me, I wasn't an Arsenal fan. So why was I always heartbroken when I wasn't an Arsenal fan? I remember some time ago I was so strong and I was on top form, but now I'm as down as Manchester United. But this wasn't the life I opted for. Sometimes I wish I started sadly and enjoy currently like Liverpool, but no, that's not the case. Every day I cry and my tears are enough to fill a pool because the world was dragging me back and front, up and down, and I couldn't even pull through. And sometimes I get sad and I want to even quit school because I was bonded in sin and a lot of addiction. And I remember I used to always tell God that God, I've changed. I won't commit sin again. So all the sin I committed was the last one. Few days after this confession, the last one became the second one, and the second one became the third one, the third one became the fourth one, and the fourth one became the fifth one, the fifth one became the sixth. So I finally decided to change when one of my colleagues I was in this life with got deceased. So on 31st night, I went to church and I told God I've changed and then I've given my life to Him and I promised Him. I remember I did promise Him that all the sins I committed was the last one. Few days after the new year, the last one became the past one. And by the time I realized, I was back to my old life again. So I got angry with God. And one day I went to church when no one was around and I started, God, I told you I've changed. And I'm doing everything possible to, so why aren't you helping me? You said in your word that you love me, but I doubt it because if you truly do, why do you still keep on watching me do the things that I don't have to do, but I can do the things that I have to? I got angry with God. I spoke anyhow, and a few hours later, I fell asleep and I had a dream. And in the dream, I heard Jesus calling me, my son, my son, my son. I know you have a lot of questions on your mind, my son. And I know right now if you could see me, you'd love to kill me with a gun. But the truth is, none of what's happening is a fault of mine because you keep on doing the things that I ban. Tell me, son, don't you still hang around with your friends in that same neighborhood where you picked up this life? Don't you still hang around with that same friends you introduced to this life? Whilst it is said in my word that at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, that bad company corrupts good manners and you still want to change? Don't you still watch those same movies, read those same books, listen to this same conversations and music that led you into this life and you still want to change? Whilst I was hanged on a cross, paying the price to save you for your distress, you were busily down here thinking of how to undress your mistress and you still want to change? Answer me, son. When a pig is clean and it goes back to that same muddy place where it used to sleep, do you think it will still be clean? That's how your life is, son. I clean you anytime you come to church and pray to me for forgiveness, but yet you go back again to your weakness. But I don't get bothered. I still heal you for your sickness and your brokenness because I love you. And I know right now you don't believe anything I say, but I mean it. Do you think I'm some sort of God who will impose strict rules on you to bear and watch you suffer the consequences and do nothing but just sit and stare? The truth is you never talk to me, son, and sometimes it feels to me that you don't even care. All I wanted from you was a relationship because I wanted us to go a pair. If I say I love you, son, then I truly do. I'm not like a human who will tell he loves you, but still stab you at the back or deny you when it gets to your point in your life where you are stuck. My love for you is the same whether you are rich or you lack, and you can trust me because I will always get your back. So before you doubt the love I have for you or any of my words, you need to first of all doubt your doubts. Doubt your doubts. And then you see that all these doubts are as empty as the tomb I walked out from 3 days after I was crucified. I love you, Sam, just like I love everyone. And all I want from you is for you to trust me. And when your back is against the wall, I will make a way. My name is PC Morgan. Thanks for having me, guys.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us, guys. We hope you learned something. God richly, richly bless you. Bye, guys.